Hey guys, all the way back here for another video for the pagan perspective. This week's topic is a two-for question. This week's topic basically asks us, what does our individual paths do to help, one, social economic injustice? And then also there's a second question kind of goes toward the correlation between nature and female energy being exploited and controlled. Just kind of a broad stroke of the question. Most of the hosts have done a wonderful job, if not all of them have done a wonderful job covering this topic. So I'll be kind of brief for you guys. I know you want to jump on over to your Friday and have fun with your friends and family, so I won't keep you. I actually recorded a hour and 30-minute long video, and instead of putting that video up, I just figured I would just do something a little bit better here, because it was kind of scatterbrained. It was like all over the place, and it was just crazy. So I'm going to give you the broad strokes of that video here on this one. So to address the first part, what does my path do to address social injustice? And for the most part, what I want to say about the situation is that, at least here in America, our country was kind of conceived by theft, really. Like the people who arrived here more or less stole the country from the indigenous pagan Native Americans who were here, the indigenous people. And that has actually harmed both the Native Americans and everyone else that has inhabited this land. To be more specific, it damaged the people who took part in this, because their ancestors carry a certain guilt. And in some cases, their ancestors have been cursed by people who had the power to curse them. The Native Americans, in some cases, depending on certain regions and different lands, they've actually cursed the families that have done terrible things to them. So the Native Americans were also part of one of the oldest, if not the oldest, religion, which is animism. They were part of this, so their magic is very potent, very strong, and the land spirits are very strong and very potent. So it's really hard to like break their curses. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, that's kind of how I explain how the ancestors, which would be the people who are breathing alive today, who are related to those who stole the land from the Native Americans, that's how they are affected. They're still dealing with curses and things. However, certain prejudices, certain racism, it still affects other races other than the natives. For example, black and brown people were also forced out of their home. They were forced to work for nothing. They were treated terribly. And again, there have been curses laid down on some of those people, and they are still suffering from that today. So I bring all that up just to kind of talk about where social injustice came from. Like it really came from us inhabiting this land and taking it in a terrible way, and then actually growing up and being related to people who preach this hate, this vicious cycle of incorrect thoughts. And as far as I'm concerned, it's actually a mental illness. I feel like racism itself is literally a mental illness, because if you think about it, what do you do with mentally ill people? You lock them up. You try to treat their brain issues until they can get better, so that way they, one, don't hurt themselves, and two, don't hurt other people. So when someone is brought up in a situation where they're told that they're better, their way of life is better, their whole being right down to their hair and their skin is better, that can harm their ancestors terribly. So when you grow up like that, you're going to have this mentality. You're going to look down on other people, and it's going to really challenge you in the spirit world and in the waking world where we are now. So people have to deal with that mental illness. You have to deal with these prejudices, because it makes us weaker. It literally makes us weaker. If you look at the world in general, many of the advancements in science and math happen with cultures working together. Every single culture has something to offer, and when you combine our efforts, we can create some of the best technology, some of the best innovations and inventions possible when we stand together. Whenever you kind of close off certain things, we all suffer. So it's something that we have to get through. America has to really do some soul searching and think about the future, think about where they want to be in order to move forward. As far as what I'm doing to address that situation is just bringing awareness. Like when questions like these come up, I try to address them. I don't believe that one person can change this. It's going to take a concerted effort by everybody, including the people who are the ancestors of the ones that stole the land from the Native Americans, and people who are victims, such as Black and brown peoples, Asian people who are kind of caught in the middle. Like sometimes Asians seem like they want to conform, and they want to kind of look past the racism, look past the social injustice, and kind of just survive and live in that middle area. But then some of them have really been caught out like that, and they've been hurt mentally as well. There are some people who feel like even being Asian is better than being any other race. So those situations are mental illnesses, and I feel that I can bring awareness to it by talking about it, by having the bravery to talk about it, because it is a bit of a hot button question, right? I mean, remember, these people, in my opinion, are mentally ill, and they're going to feel very angry when someone describes them and their family and what they were brought up to believe, and they're going to fight for it, right? I'm of the opinion that no one is truly evil. Everyone is fighting for what they believe is the right way. For example, if you look at the way Hitler motivated his troops, those guys didn't wake up in the morning thinking that they were going to go out and be evil. They were waking up in the morning thinking they were going to go out and save their country. It wasn't so much a vengeance thing as it was protecting something that they thought was precious. If you think about the Ku Klux Klan for a moment, again, those guys don't wake up in the morning thinking that they're evil. They're getting bad information that twists the way their brain works, right? They believe that they're protecting a group of people from another group of equally normal humans. And poison information can poison and cause mental illness and make you think a certain way. When you lay eyes on someone who looks different than you, that has different customs than you, that has different hair than you, that speaks different than you, if you're taught your entire life that is evil and that's bad and that can hurt your people, then of course you're going to feel afraid of them. Of course you're going to feel like you want to control them. Of course you're going to feel like you don't want to be near them. That is where the mental illness comes from. It's a skewed reality. It's something that I think is a little bit closer to schizophrenia, actually, because it's truly not the right way to look at things. But I can understand from their perspective, with their mentally ill state, they believe to their core that their particular viewpoint is right. And that is the problem, because they're going to fight for it just as hard as those Nazis did way back when. For the second part of the question, how feminine energy is under threat, and specifically how it kind of goes hand in hand with nature. What I'll say about that is that feminine energy is incredibly powerful. Like, as far as I'm concerned, male energy is a very potent and fighting energy. It's more of a warlike energy. However, it takes, in my opinion, way more sustained energy and power to bring another life into this world than it is to take life away. I'll say that again, because that to me is a very profound statement. It takes more energy to bring life into this world for several months as it lives within the woman's womb, and she has to feed herself properly. She has to stay away from war. It's literally taking energy away from her. She needs vitamins. It takes more energy to nurture a life and bring a life into this world than it is for a man to go out and snuff a life out. That's very, very important. I want you guys to keep that in mind as you listen to what I have to say from this point forth. Because of that, and that potent energy, women have been controlled for far too long. I mean, if you look at some of the Abrahamic religions, some women can't even show their hair. They can't show their face. And some Christian religions, which are Abrahamic as well, they're not allowed to lead the church, right? They're not allowed to be pastors. Even in some Asian religions, women aren't even allowed to be in temples. Women aren't allowed to show their body, like their shoulders and things. They have to cover their hair. Even in Thailand, like there is a power to being a woman that masculine energy will never have, and they are afraid of it. This is the reason, I believe, this is the reason why women are assaulted so much as they are. Like there's a statistic somewhere that says that by the time a woman reaches like the age of 20, her likelihood of being sexually assaulted is like extremely high. I think masculine energy wants to conquer what they consider to be a threat. When at some level, when a man realizes that a woman has that kind of ability, that kind of power to like bring life into the world, when they know that they came from that kind of power, they kind of want to absorb it, they want to conquer it, and they really can't because it's far greater than them. Bringing up the earth, Mother Earth is the mother to all of us. We all live on her. We all breathe on her. Everything we do affects her in some way or another. So of course there's going to be people, men out there, who are going to want to try to do their best to bring Mother Earth to their will. Ultimately, Mother Earth will be here long after we're gone. Mother Earth will be here long after the human race has either left the solar system or has destroyed itself in some kind of crazy future nuclear war or something. So I think it just comes down to men who are insecure with their masculinity, men who are insecure with just realizing the power that women have, even the strength and the way their anatomy is set up. They can use both. It's been scientifically proven that women can use both hemispheres of their brain far better than a man can. Like, these are things that are out there. You just have to research them. And unfortunately, there are a lot of insecure men out there who find this to be a severe threat. Also, some of the best snipers in the world are females. So even when it comes to war, if a woman puts her mind to it, she can be better at times than the man can. This is important stuff to process, folks. And if you feel angry at this, then I would challenge you to check your own programming. Find out if you have a good relationship with the females in your family. Like, do you respect your grandmother? Did you have a lot of respect for your great-grandmother? Did you learn about her? How are you treating your aunts and your sisters? Are they weaker to you? Are they weaker than you? Are you better than them? Do you follow what they say? Do you honor them? Think about that. And as a masculine male, and just figure out like where you see their power, where you process how they treat people in your family. And I think that's about all I have to say about it, guys, because it's a really complicated question. Actually, it's one of the most well thought out questions I've seen here on the Pagan Perspective in recent times, just because it covers so much broad ground and there's so many emotions around these questions. So if you like this video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. If you don't, that other button seems to work fine too. If you want to check me out on my personal channel, I will have a new Gaming with a Pagan video coming up today. That one's going to be with Skyrim, actually. So if you like Skyrim, because it is kind of pagan-esque, it's got a lot of pagan themes. So if you want to join me over on my personal channel, where I tackle other kind of questions that aren't really on the Pagan Perspective, or they've been given to our sub-hosts, go ahead and jump over there and give a subscribe if you want to. I would love to have you over there. Also, if you disagree with me, I'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and post down below why you disagree with me, and if you got a video response, I'd love to see that too. If you do agree with me, go ahead, put that down below. If you got other options, maybe something that is a little bit more parallel to this, put that down below. I would love to start a dialogue with you guys and just to hear what you guys think. Again, thank you so much for watching the video, and I will see you guys back here next week. Again, Mercury is still retrograde. People are still crazy out there, so I want you guys to be safe. You know, make sure you do whatever your protection rituals are. Be safe, and I want to see your happy faces back here again next week. Thanks so much. Blessed be.